everybody, to the Beer Guys Radio Show. Thank you so much for hanging out with us for some craft beer and conversation. I am Tim Dennis. Brian Hewitt, how are you doing?
I'm doing good. I'm here. You ever have one of those weeks where your job kind of completely changes up abruptly? And
Yeah, frequently. So
yeah, this is
now, was yours a project thing? I know that. The way you do work is a little different than I do. So new project,
whole different way my team works, whole different focus, a lot of stuff, like a lot different,
unexpected and unplanned.
Yeah,
good stuff.
Just
man. All right,
and not necessarily in a bad way, just like completely surprised by this yesterday afternoon. I'm like, oh, okay, like the way we'll be doing what we'll be working on and the way we'll be working will be completely different going forward, which is a very interesting thing.
Well, good luck to you there. Last week we had a major change at my company with the departure of a fairly high level member of the team, and it will change the structure, the reporting structure here. So we're curious to see how that goes. Not a major change to like my daily, but we'll see how it impacts things moving forward.
I should say that because I know this is a triggering point for a lot of people, so I'm going to bait people, but I'm going to be doing a lot more AI stuff, like a lot more, like in a more advanced level. So like a lot more AI. So there you go, people.
Yeah. Well, my day job, I hire the people that build the data centers that everybody's trying to keep out of their neighborhood. Oh, yeah. So I have to be careful, because I see this news where people are, angry. We don't want a data center in our neighborhood. And I'm like, I really need you to. I
want you to do that because I get paid for that.
Yeah.
Now, in the past, I do remember I was once told by somebody what was wrong with America. So I mean, it checks out that what I'm doing continues to be in that vein. So yeah.
Well, that's my tech frequently has people upset because, of course, we also did the 5G deployments, and people have a massive issue with that too. Yeah. So I am unintentionally in a controversial career here. So.
Beer Guys, we're What's Wrong with America.
We are What's Wrong with it. And we got a new slogan, man. We got a new slogan. Good stuff. Nate, how are you doing? What did you do to ruin America this week?
My career for the last 10 years has either been pushing beer sales or pushing hemp beverage sales. So if you're a purist, it might be ruining America. But if you're looking for a good time, I'm here for America.
Maybe not our audience would think you're ruining America, but other people definitely would. I shared a screenshot with Brian today I think Facebook tries to trigger you. Like they've been pushing me a bunch of stuff that's just absolutely opposite my views on life in general. But one they had today, PETA, a lot of stuff from PETA comes up about, don't eat meat is murder and all this. And today they went after the tinned fish. And they specifically mentioned a brand called Fishwife, which is, I'd say you agree with this, Brian. Fishwife is not the best brand out there, but best marketed brand out there.
For sure.
So that's what they've got going. But I think the thing said something like the reason your can of tinned fish smells like death is because it is. And the comments on PETA posts are just, they're like, well, yeah. I think it'd be kind of weird if I opened the can and it was flopping around, things like that. So
eat it before it dies.
So there, I guess eating it, that is also something else I'm doing. That's wrong with America. Crazy stuff. Crazy stuff. Well, Brian, a couple of quick shots here. I'm going to start with one big news today for brewers everywhere. But if you are a brewer and you get grain from BSG, then you expect, I would say, your salted nut rolls on your pallet of grain. And the news came out today that the factory that makes the salted nut rolls is closing. And they said that they are working to get a co-packer to continue making salted nut rolls. And I think BSG made the comment they have quite a stock of them. And they're still in the pipeline for now. As of now, they said, there should be no interruption to the salted nut roll supply, but who knows what the future may hold. So brewers, we send you our thoughts and prayers right now for the little treat on your grain pallets.
Man, that is terrifying. That is such a running joke for a long time. That was just commentary about that, and every time I see them, I think about brewers now, and I'm surprised. I thought they were really popular because I've seen them in grocery stores and stuff. So I thought that people were like that love the stuff.
So we joke about them, man, but some brewers, it does. I don't know if take them seriously is the right word. Maybe it is, but I talked to a head brewer somewhere who had hired a new brewer, a junior brewer, and they took the salted nut roll off a pallet that came in, and they were legitimately, they're like, hey, they're new here. That's not theirs. They're like, if anybody, that's not theirs. So yeah, they're a thing, man. Absolutely.
It's a hierarchy. Like you haven't put in the time. You don't deserve.
You have not earned this salted nut roll.
No,
yet. You got to do your time. Good stuff. And Brian, I think you got some info, something we read recently with Tilray's latest reporting.
Yeah, I've been seeing little hints, drips and drabs about this, and I've collected as much as I can. But Terrapin Beer Company in Athens, Georgia, this hit close to home. They've been around forever. They're one of the OGs, but they were named one of several brewing facilities that are being closed by Tilray. The closures are part of Tilray's business optimization plan to consolidate production and streamline operations. All of the redundancy type of stuff they always talk about that involves closing things and firing people. But the other facilities named include Red Hook, Atwater, Hot Valley, and Revolver. So if those places are near you, that those brewing facilities will be closing. The filing doesn't say whether that the Terrapin brand itself has actually been discontinued. I've actually heard, and I think it was on social media, so I don't know if it's true or if it was just a rumor, that the actual Athens tap room itself will remain open, so people will be able to still go there and drink the beer, but the facility will, the actual brewing portion of it will no longer be producing anything. And there's also rumor and speculation that Sweetwater may end up brewing Terrapin beer in the future, which, had you told me that like 10, 15 years ago, I would have never believed you that Sweetwater would be brewing Terrapin beer, because, I mean, they were kind of competition. I'm sure they were friendly and all that, but I'm like, I would have never, ever believed that. But
I think Spike, one of the founders, Spike Bukowski, one of the Terrapin founders, I think he got his start at Sweetwater.
I think you're right.
So it's going full circle here, man. So, but that's something I'm surprised. I will be surprised if they leave a tasting room open long term. I just can't see that generating enough revenue for a company like Tilray to keep that going. It does make sense. I don't remember if we mentioned it on the air, but when Tilray purchased Terrapin, the first thing I thought of is they've got Sweetwater in Atlanta, Terrapin in Athens. There's no way Tilray needs two brewing facilities in the state of Georgia, and they're not running things like a craft brewery. They're a big corporation. So unfortunately, we did kind of call it that Terrapin's days were probably numbered there. So sad news, even if not shocking, always a bummer. They were one of the OG, they're part of the OG crowd, not the absolute oldest, but one of the ones that was around for the longest here in Georgia. So
for Georgia, one of the two oldest. And here's the thing, I'm like, if they stop the production there, they don't run all that power, like all that stuff, buy all that material, and they just run the tap room like they already own the property, I would assume. And just running the tap room, they might be able to do that for a while, but I would be willing to bet they move the tap room. They find a different place and they set up. I
just don't see that being lucrative for Tilray. I mean, I don't think they want to own bars. Basically, is what we'd be talking about.
Well, they do own the Brewdog's stuff, like a bunch of the bars for Brewdog.
Those are brew pubs, though. No, I guess they have actual. Who knows, Brian? Who knows? I can't see and again, we're talking Athens, college town, and that could be the one thing. A lot of the UGA students that are able to go to a brewery, it's kind of a core part of the Athens life there. There are a few other smaller craft breweries over there now, but Terrapin, I think, probably still holds a special place in many people's hearts there.
Yeah, I think so. And I'm just wondering, it's just a matter of like, how much does it cost for them to keep that property? If they do in fact keep the tap room open. I don't know that's actually true. That's just what I've heard. I did not find
rumors and speculation
a specific link that proves that that's going to happen. It just wasn't specifically said, but I think the beer is sticking around. I don't know what's going to happen, if anything else in Athens. So who knows?
As far as I know, the only thing that really is official is that their what's it called, 10K report. Is that for financial reporting?
I think that's what it. Yeah.
As far as I know, that is the only thing that is official. Is that they announced there that it was intended closure, and I do remember the phrase of saying something about the expected wind down on all of this was the end of 2020. I think they said 2027, possibly.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
I could be mistaken on that, but I think that's the only thing that's official is that they announced it's going to happen.
Yes, that's probably true.
All right. Well, Brian, moving right along to some beers of the week. What are you getting into this week, sir?
So I pre-gamed, got ready for the show with a Marigold from Variant, which is a dry hop saison. I stopped by Variant last Saturday and hung out for a bit, and I saw they had the saison on the menu, and I'm like, I gotta. I talk a lot about saisons and how much I love them and how much I wish they were back. If you like a beer like that style, you got to order it, you got to drink it. So I did. And I'm like, you know what? This is great. And I got some to go, and I got into one before the show. But yeah, dry hop saison with a small dose of Mandarina Bavaria and Saaz. It was very enjoyable, very nice. If you haven't had a saison recently, go find one and drink it.
You don't see them often enough anymore, Brian.
No, and that's why you have to drink them when you see them. I was like, oh, there's all these other interesting things. And I was like, hold up, I gotta stick to my guns. If I'm going to talk about how great saisons are, I got to actually drink the dang things.
Yeah.
So now I'm working on a hop concepts from Good Word. Apparently this is some kind of a series, though I don't find a lot of information about it. What's in Untapped is not the same thing as mine, but mine says 1 of 3, and this is collect all 3. And I don't know about collecting them all, but I will drink them all if I get them. But I think they all have different hop profiles. And mine is it's a New England IPA. It's got Nelson, Nectaron, Waimea, and Azaka Spectrum. So it's really good. I'm enjoying that so far. And with the Patreon folks in the after party, I'm going to be getting into a collaboration between Mast Landing and Messerum. And I believe Messerum is a Canadian brewery, but the beer is called Beneath the Waves. It's a New England double IPA, so taking it up a notch. And it's made with a massive dose of Motueka hops, Motueka Cryo, Motueka Hyper Boost. And so, I'm going to get all the Motueka possible to get alongside Eldorado and Citra Cryo. So that's going to blow the hair to the back of my head with hops. And I can't wait. I'm looking forward to that. So that's what I'm getting into.
Good stuff. Wild, man. Wild.
Yeah.
Nate, what's on the list for you, sir?
All right. Currently, my glass from Weldworks Brewing. I've got their extra broccoli, which is a collaboration brew with Other Half, blending of extra juicy bits and Other Half's broccoli. Very tasty. And then on deck from Goose Island, since we talked about this year's Bourbon County release, I decided to pull from the cellar their Bourbon County brand stout from last year. And this is a bourbon barrel aged stout, and it's aged 14 months in a blend of Buffalo Trace, Heaven Hill, Four Roses, and Wild Turkey barrels.
That sounds fancy.
Mm-hmm.
How boozy is that?
And it's only a 10-ounce bottle, so
okay, yeah. Good for one single serving, as they say there. So
I think those are like 14.8% if I remember correctly. So yeah, you don't need more than 10 ounces.
Confirmed, it is 14.8%.
Yeah,
there you go.
Yeah.
Good stuff. Awesome. Well, Brian, moving along to the hot news items this week, Ballast Point drama. So, Brian, what is up with Ballast Point right now?
Yeah, so we all remember Ballast Point being the that iconic San Diego brewery that sold for a staggering $1 billion back in 2015, and they're back in the headlines. And this time, it's not about shutting down a tap room. We did talk about that earlier this year, but the brewery is locked in an intense legal battle amongst its owners that may end up actually killing the business off completely. Parent company Kings and Convicts is suing co-owner and board member William Terzos, and apologies if I'm not saying that right. It's never seen a name spelled like that before, but the lawsuits accuse Terzos of orchestrating a brazen multi-million-dollar scam involving embezzlement, fraud, and forged corporate documents. Man, the alleged scheme involved secretly taking out 3 major loans between mid-2025 and early 2026. He is accused of fabricating documents to claim that he had 100% control over the brewery and 20 other related companies in addition to that. The loans apparently came from short-term lenders and high-cost cash advance operations, so those kind of places. And when the payments fell through, lenders went straight after the brewery's cash flow, intercepting beer sales income directly from distributors. So the company's accounting team, they started to piece together what was happening in early 2026 after they noticed unexplained money was disappearing from the company's bank accounts, which would really set you off. Ballast Point says that frozen accounts and intercepted payments are making it difficult for them to cover payroll, pay suppliers for raw ingredients, and fulfill customer orders. Terzos, on the other hand, denies the accusations and claims that he's being squeezed out of the company. His legal response, he argues he personally guaranteed the debt and has repaid nearly $2 million of it. And he claims that the board has gone rogue to force him out or force him into a cheap buyout of his majority stake. And I think he's lost access to corporate documents and some other things like that. The plaintiffs are seeking Terzos' removal and $12 million in damages. Last year, Ballast Point's output declined 10% year over year to 31,000, almost 32,000 barrels, according to data from the Brewers Association. That marks a nearly 400,000 barrel drop off from its peak of just about 431,000 barrels in 2016. So the year it was sold for $1 billion, or 2015. Anyway, yeah, so 400,000 less barrels are being sold by them. But yeah, Ballast Point may not make it, man. They may not make it through this. This looks rough.
I mean, it's wild to think that, man, where they were during the sale. But I mean, textbooks are written about this kind of stuff. They're not the first company to have this kind of rise and fall. And so who the heck knows, man? It'll be interesting to see where it all lands.
I think about this and I'm wondering if this guy, and I'm just allegations theory, I don't know if he did anything at all, but like, with a reputation like they have, with all the money they had, maybe he got in with the whole point of like, I'm gonna make some money off of this. I'm gonna get some money out of it. So like, I could see it because like they have a reputation at one point of being worth $1 billion. So I don't know if that's the case, but like if this was going to happen anywhere else, it might as well happen here, right? I guess.
I guess so, man. And I mean, just going from I remember when they were purchased, the last time. It's like they are being bought by kings and convicts, and literally every person but except like 5 people is like, who is it that's buying them here? So they went from being bought for $1 billion to, and I'll tell you what, Brian, for me, here's what I thought. Kings and convicts is someone we've never heard of. If it was someone who had the kind of money to buy them at the level that they of $1 billion, we would likely have heard of them before.
Yes.
So my first thought is, man, they've got to be selling for pennies on the dollar if we've got some unknown coming out here. And I don't even remember at the time, Kings and Convicts, what all I think they may have owned a couple breweries even back at that time. I don't remember, but again, definitely not a big popular name that, I guess you don't know who's financially backing that stuff. Obviously they had enough to buy Ballast Point. So,
had this gone
it's interesting to watch this.
Yeah, had this gone right for them, they would have become a big player because immediately people knew who they were because they were tied to that thing. That's good. The problem is, I think they've had no end of trouble with this brand and apparently internally. So that's what they're fighting with. But like, had this been successful and they actually brought it back and had it maybe not running at probably not running at the same level, but had it being a successful regional brewery again, people would know them. Like they would have successfully made it to the next tier, because I think at most they were like a local brewery or something like that, or maybe a couple locals that nobody knew well. But yeah. So
here's my thing, Brian. And this is going to come as a shock to you, but I do not have a lot of personal experience with buying billion or multi-$100 million businesses. So I'm totally talking out of my hee-haw.
Never even one. Not even one.
Well, yeah, of course. I think we all have.
Yeah, at least one, right? Yeah.
But we knew at the time that they bought Ballast Point that the industry was in a downturn there. We knew that. It wasn't, that had already started. We knew that was happening. They knew that this thing went from $1 billion valuation to what was they bought them for? 200 and something, or let's say a third of that. Let's say a third or a quarter of that. Those two things alone, man, tell you, and I think everybody thinks they're a wizard that's going to do something. You know what, Brian? Near my post office, there's a strip mall there, and they've got a corner store, and it's been restaurants, and it's a horrible location. There's no residential area back there, and it's not like on a main thoroughfare where there's traffic. There's been 5 restaurants there in probably the last 8 or 10 years, and they all fell. It's a terrible location for a restaurant, terrible location. But I drove by there the other day, and there's a sign up that there's another restaurant coming, Mediterranean joint. So we'll see what happens with that. And I've seen that so many times with these that no matter how many times someone else has failed with something, somebody else thinks that they're going to be the one that's going to make a difference with it. And sometimes these things can be as simple as a coffee house being on the wrong side of the road.
Yes.
If they're on the wrong side of the road for the morning commute flow, that can be enough to kill a coffee shop, So that's what I'm saying. It was highly unlikely at the time with the climate of the craft beer industry and the valuation loss in that short amount of time. It seemed like a bad idea to purchase. And I kind of think the same thing with BrewDog, with Tilray buying them. Now let's see what Tilray can do. They're a huge company. I haven't seen them do anything magical with any of the other breweries they've bought so far. So we'll see what comes of that.
We're definitely waiting to see. I looked for it. The official numbers for the Kings and Convict purchase are private, but the speculation was it was $41 million they got it for.
41.
It may have been as high as $100 million, but 41 million has been
10% of what, I don't know, man. Maybe I would have bought it too, Brian.
That's what I'm thinking.
Get it for $100 million.
That was rolling the dice. I'm like, this is totally worth it. Like, this was a former billion-dollar company. Yeah. Like, we have a shot at actually doing something with this. And it maybe there were bad actors involved. Like, maybe we can exploit this to make some ill-gotten gains. I don't know. That's also a possibility. I kind of thought that a little bit. It's like, what are they going to do with the intellectual property? Are they looking to? Are they looking to do something shady with it? I don't know. So I don't know.
The one I actually think that has a good chance of maybe coming back, maybe not like they were before, is moving slow as dirt, is Anchor.
Yes.
I think that they've got enough gumption to at least let them do a little bit there. Depending on what scale he brings it back at, but we'll see if that happens.
I hope that after all the waiting we've done for that he rolls out the red carpet and just shines everything up, and it's just pristine. And it's like, it's impressive. Like, I hope that people walk into that place and like, hey, the beer is just as good as it was, and wow, the place is amazing. And like, I hope he does it. I hope he does it right.
He should co-pack them with Chobani for marketing. Like, you buy a pint of low-fat Greek yogurt and you get an Anchor Steam. Anchor Steam with it. Yeah.
That would be...
Make some sour beers with the cultures from the Chobani yogurt. The yogurt's doing well. So he just needs to maybe tap into that. So see what can happen with it. Well, Brian, moving on. 21st Amendment, our good friends there, unfortunately, another victim of the market right now. But some people may have forgot about them, Brian, but the TTB has not. And they recently sent them a love note to let them know they hadn't forgot about it.
Yeah, I thought this was interesting and worth talking about. It turns out that going out of business doesn't get you off the hook when it comes to paying taxes. And I saw this story. I'm like, about 21st Amendment having to pay a tax bill. I'm like, what? They're dead. They're gone. What? How could they do that? But anyway, before the brand was resurrected under new ownership earlier this year, 21st Amendment apparently ran up a massive unpaid tax tab with the federal alcohol regulators. The total tax bill from the government was over $1.2 million. It's crazy. They allege that 21st Amendment failed to timely file or pay excise tax for almost 8 years, which is wild. It's an accusation. I don't know if it's true, but they were able to negotiate a final tax bill down considerably from that amount. So apparently there was some negligence or something on somebody's part, but and they agreed to pay it. Somebody did. The amount that they settled on was about 35 cents on the dollar, or about about $424,000, which is still a lot of money, but definitely not 1.2 million. So that's a good savings. But the tax bill wasn't about the beer served at the pub. It was tied directly to their 120,000 square foot brewing production facility in San Leandro, California. Of course, 21st Amendment officially announced its closure back in September 2025, and the Philadelphia-based Evil Genius Brewing Company bought them in April of 2026. And here's the interesting thing. Evil Genius isn't on tap for the bill, nor should they be, in my opinion. They had nothing to do with any of this. They just bought the intellectual property effectively. A private equity firm was running the show at 21st Amendment behind the scenes during the non-payment of taxes period. So it looks like they are the ones that have to pay the bill, but I got all this from Brewbound, and nobody's responding to anybody's questions about this. So it looks like they got caught pulling some fast ones that probably nobody else knew about, and they have to pay for it. And yeah, apparently, though they closed, officially 21st Amendment was a legal entity in some manner behind the scenes with a closed brewery. So yeah, it's all very interesting. I just kind of surprised me. I thought that was kind of interesting. But if you see this news, you don't have to worry about this. Is not going to affect the new 21st Amendment going forward and Evil Genius at all. Like, they're not affected in any way. So yeah, don't got to worry about that. The beer not being there.
Wild stuff, man. Wild stuff happening all the time. Well, Brian, before we move ahead here, how about we give a shout out to our friends over at Truck and Tap?
Yeah. So it's it's that time of year again, the time when the beer industry and big parent, much like a big pharma, they try to gaslight us into believing it's now fall and that it's perfectly acceptable to drink pumpkin beers and Oktoberfest and things like that. Never mind the evidence of our senses, the thermometer that's a solid red from top to bottom. Yeah, you drink your pumpkin beers and your Oktoberfest. Well, I'm here to push back with some facts. As of the day this show drops, there are 45 days left of summer, or to put it another way, that is 48.4% of summer is still left. So summer is, in fact, only half over. And I think this calls for some crushable patio beers at Truck and Tap to celebrate the truth. And I happen to have a nice selection of these kind of beers and something I like to call my Truck and Tap beer picks for the week. I'm going to do something a little different that I've never done before. I'm only picking beers on side pull taps. Each Truck and Tap location has one, and they're all winners this week. So, and not only that, they all happen to be Pilsners. So that's kind of a win-win, at least for me anyway. But at Truck and Tap Woodstock, I'm going with Very from Halfway Crooks. Very is a Czech Pilsner that's crisp and clean with a notable malt expression due to a longer boil time. Its cousin Var is like the same kind of beer, just lower boil time. This is the long boil version of it. Anyway, there's some nice herbal hop bitterness to it as well. So this is a good one. And moving over to the Duluth location, I'm getting Pilsner Liberation from Three Taverns. Pilsen Liberation. Pilsen Liberation is a collaboration with Pilsner Urquell. You've heard about this one before, probably. The beer blends American hops and technique with a traditional Czech Pilsner style, and it's been really good. So I'm definitely getting that. At Truck and Tap Alpharetta, my pick is another one from Halfway Crooks. Yes, another one. Pintje, and I never know if I'm saying that right. It's Pintje. This one is a Belgian Pilsner with, quote, an Italian Amaro bitter hop profile and a hint of lemon. And that sounds, irresistible to me as somebody who likes Campari and Negronis and things like that. So this apparently is the Pilsner version of a Negroni, I guess. And finally, at the Lawrenceville location, I'm going with a cold one from Reformation, which is a light, crisp German Pilsner. Unlike some of the other Pilsners on my list today, this one is just doing its best to be true to the original German Pilsner style. So that's what you can expect from that. And there you have my beer picks for the week. Get out there and have a beer or two. And as always, if you'd like to see the full tap list before stopping by, and I think you should, take a look at truckandtap.com. The taps do change quickly, and you never know which one of these beers might disappear and what new beers are coming on to replace them. And if you'd like to see what the food trucks are serving and what events are happening, trivia, karaoke, various other fun things, drink specials, cocktail specials, you can find that at truckandtap.com as well. Everything you need to know can be found at truckandtap.com, so check that out. And thank you to Truck and Tap for your support.
Thank you very much, Truck and Tap. We appreciate it. Well, Brian, this guy has been in the news before, and not usually for good things. And you always see quotes around him what says this, but he's an activist brewer, Brian, an activist brewer.
Yes.
And this is the owner of Minocqua Brewing. Believe that's the way it's pronounced, Minocqua Brewing Company. But he's back in the news, and this is a big one.
Yeah, I'm going with Minocqua as well. I don't actually know for sure, but I think so. But I can't stop following this because it's so much drama. It's my version of the soaps. You know, I'm watching my show, so this is my show here. But yeah, so we've been following it for a while. And back in February, we reported that the owner of Minocqua Brewing Company stirred up controversy when he gained a viral following with some social media posts about a big party at the brewery when a certain head of state dies. That was kind of the thing that threw him on the national stage. More recently, I think he's offered half-price beers when another certain person who is speculated to actually possibly already be deceased is announced as being actually deceased. I forget what he called him, something involving a terrapin, but it was a very amusing thing. But anyway, highly controversial. Go check out their Facebook if you want to see all that. And then there was the brewery, the news back in the day in June when the state officials seized about $25,000 worth of their beer over alleged failure to pay taxes. Yes, taxes again here. And we learned that their state's Department of Revenue had been investigating the brewery for at least a year. The owner had already filed a lawsuit against that Department of Revenue and had made various public accusations against various people in the government of Wisconsin. He took a lot of shots, basically. And in the latest round of news, and this may not be the most surprising news, Minocqua Brewing Company has had its brewing license revoked by the Wisconsin Department of Revenue. And this is not Trump fighting him. This is his own state. This is over allegations of violating the state's beer shipping laws and an untaxed beer possession in unpermitted warehouses. So, yeah, he has not paid his taxes on his beers, and he's putting them in places he should not be putting them, at least allegedly. I don't know. The brewery was apparently given about a week to appeal this decision, so they're not being very nice to him. And it seems they will be appealing, but as of right now, I don't know what the status of that is, if they were able to get their appeal together in enough time. In a very lengthy and detailed post on social media, Kirk Bangstad, the owner of Minocqua Brewing Company, said the charges are laughable and that, quote, someone in Wisconsin's government is trying to make an example out of me, unquote. So it's far too long of a post to get into here. I think he goes through all the accusations, all the details, his rationalizations, his explanations of things. I don't know all of it, but if you'd like to read it, it's easy enough to find on Facebook. I think you have to just look for the brewery. Pack a lunch. It's a long post. You're going to need it, or just grab a beer anyway. In addition,
a rambling activist? No way, Brian.
Yeah. So, in addition to the battle of the brewing license, the owner is also facing multiple lawsuits about his postings online and his use of campaign funds, which seems to be related to a super PAC he was running during a failed attempt to run for governor. At one point, he was trying to be governor and unseat the governor, so he's talking trash about the current governor, which I'm sure didn't win him any points either. I'm sure that is not giving him any extra grace during this period of getting shut down. So I have no idea how this is going to turn out. I don't know how legit any of these accusations are or any of it. I'm going to be watching it because this is probably the most interesting thing happening in beer right now, honestly. So
beer drama with the activist brewer, man. I don't know. We'll see how it shakes out there. That's Beer Snob Sean here in chat said, dude is a D-bag. I'm not sure what that stands for. I think probably donut bag, like he's saying that dude is bag all of that in a bag of donuts. So I'm thinking that Sean is a fan there by what he's saying about that. But I've seen a couple of this guy's rambling posts in the past.
He has definitely, one thing he's really done is he's sold a ton of beer to people online. Like he's got people that are buying things, like they're buying gift cards that they're not going to use or buying beer to have sent shipped. So he does have quite a bit of support online. It's very interesting. So yeah, all I can say is I don't know much about the guy other than he is just a very public mess, and it's a lot of fun to watch.
Nate, we'll follow up with you on this in a minute, but I'm requesting some research for us. Do y'all remember a year or two ago when Beer Dad released that all-American anti-woke right-wing beer?
Oh, yeah. I think I even saw it one time.
So I don't know the full story or where they ended up because they just totally fell off the radar. I don't know if there's anything going on with them at all now. But there were people who had ordered the beer because he did like a pre-sale online or something.
Yeah.
And I know there were people that waited up to 2 months and never received anything from him. And then I'd forgot one of our local breweries that ended up going out of business was actually going to be the brewery for that. So they were.
Really? Okay.
They were going to contract brew.
Yes, that's right.
Yeah. And even the name of that brewery is escaping me right now. So
they made right. They made right side, but they weren't right side, right?
Correct. Yeah. And I can't believe that Iron Shield.
Yeah, I think it was Iron Shield.
So,
you're right.
Yeah. So, but yeah, I think he had another follow-up beer that he did, and then I just didn't hear anything else about him at all. So I don't know. I know some people did finally get it, and like you said, I think I saw it out a few different places, but he was one that definitely, was loud about it. He made his politics the beer. That was the whole point of it.
That's true, and he did get like this guy up in Minocqua. He got people to buy based upon a political stance, and I did see it one time. Yeah, for a laugh, I considered buying it, and I'm like, no, I'm not going to do that because it was a light lager, and it was probably 20 something for a 6-pack.
I think he was making it.
No.
I mean, he was making it for the Miller Lite, Bud Light, Mick Ultra drinking crowd, so stuff like that. But yeah, gosh, that guy was all over the place, and then not at all. Nate, you find us anything yet?
No, honestly, this Minocqua Brewing Company drama is overshadowing anything I'm finding immediately.
Or do it? Okay, gotcha.
Oh, you're trying to Google it, and you're getting results for the other one instead. He is all over the place.
Stuff,
yeah.
Throw Beer Dad in there because I'm pretty sure that's what that guy called himself.
I think so. I think it was Beer Dad. Yeah.
Yeah. So anyhow, that was a fun period in brewing history here.
Not to be confused with Hulk Hogan's deal, which was Real American Beer. That was a different thing, right? Yeah. That was a completely different deal, right? I think so. Yeah.
Gotcha.
A lot of political beers.
That was it. Yeah, man. A lot of people have attached that. A lot of that came out after the, after we and let me make sure I'm not spoiling anything here. We're going to jump ahead to this, Brian, because I think it's relevant to this discussion. But when the Bud Light had their drama a few years ago there, then it was, for those who missed it, I don't know how you could have, but they did some kind of a, honorary can, I guess it was tribute can. I don't know if that's the right word.
Something like that.
But they did it with a trans influencer, and it absolutely alienated their target demographic. And they took a big hit from it. And there was some news that came out today. They've been tracking Bud Light, since then. And it's still, it didn't just take a drop in and flatline, but Bud Light continues to fall, basically, is the point of that.
Yeah. And I think people were speculating that Bud Light would eventually recover from that drama back in 2023. I think we, us on the show have always maintained that once the people quit drinking Bud Light, they'd switch brands, and they're not likely to come back at all. And now, according to the article that you're talking about in the Financial Times this week, the outlook for Bud Light seems even worse than we thought it was going to be, like in terms of stabilizing and maybe getting some of it back. According to this article, apparently Bud Light was conspicuously absent from a recent AB InBev financial results presentation that they put out, like a slide deck that featured their top beer brands. Here's the thing. They don't even consider Bud Light one of their top brands anymore. It's gotten that bad. In 2023, AB InBev had doubled down with $125 million in advertising in an attempt to rescue Bud Light from the backlash that they'd experienced. And they have cut Bud Light's media budget every year since. It's down to like $44 million this year through July, according to the article. I think we all know that Michelob Ultra is officially taken over as America's favorite beer right now. Advertising for that is up like 38%, and they had a pretty high profile during a tie-in to the World Cup. And I think in the past, that would have been Bud Light that had that tie-in, most likely. But people wonder why the boycott was so effective, and it's because, and they had experts that weighed in on this, it's because light lagers lack a strong flavor distinction, meaning that when drinkers get annoyed, they can jump to another brand without really missing a beat. And that's why we were saying all along that their customers are gone. The brand's reputation was a far greater factor in customer choice for this type of beer than flavor. It was all about, well, you know what, this other one's it's fine. It's just about as good, so I'll just drink that. And once you've made that switch over and you get used to it, there's no reason for you to go back. You're not missing anything. So, yeah, what does this actually mean in terms of numbers? Bud Light will sell an estimated 12.7 million barrels in the U.S. this year, which sounds pretty good. But to put the collapse into perspective, back in 2008, Bud Light peaked at a staggering 41 million barrels. So 12.7 this year versus 41. Bud Light accounted for 1 out of every 5 beers sold in America back in 2008. But to be fair, the analysts note that Bud Light was already losing market share before 2023. The events in 2023 may have probably accelerated the inevitable, and they may have made the drop considerably more extreme than it would have been. But yeah, it's bad. Like, Bud Light is dropping off to a point where it actually might stop being a thing at some point in the future. It's that bad.
Not doing it. Yeah. And you know, Brian, let's be honest here. Light beer in general is a very blue collar, right wing kind of thing. And, you know, I don't say that to mean it derogatorily in any way. But that is a very large part of the demographic that's drinking these kind of beers, you know? And, so when it hit them, it hit hard because it hit a pretty big point of their, philosophy on life there, I guess. So, and yeah, I mean, if you look at the chart, it was just an absolute gut punch in 23 when they did that. And it's just not coming back there. But I still remember when Bud Heavy was the king. Good old Budweiser, man. The king of beers there. But
Bud, I think I think Bud was the king right up until almost 2000. Like,
that's what I was just looking at. Yeah, it looks like Bud. So we've got a chart here, y'all, a little line chart, and it looks like Budweiser was from 1980 to 1990. They were in a pretty big growth, maybe like 89, and then they started dipping, and then Bud Light started coming up. Looks like it's probably about 82 here, and they had it was a very strong upward growth there, throughout it until they crossed old Bud Heavy in 2000. And then it looks like here over the last few years, Bud Light's actually fallen in popularity at a larger rate than Bud Heavy has.
I think Bud Heavy, it looks like Bud Heavy easily topped out much higher than Bud Light ever got to. Like, Bud Heavy looks like they may have hit like 50 million barrels a year at one point, 1989, 1990. They were killing it, which is crazy to think, like, that many people drinking it. And that's, the funny thing is Bud Heavy is still lower than Bud Light. And we think about how Bud Light's taking a hit, but that's quite a fall. Honestly, I don't know when the last time it was I had a Bud Heavy. I feel like I got to go try one.
I need one. Yeah. I need one now. I need to get one. I remember
I don't even see them anymore, honestly.
No, that's what I was trying to think. I don't even know. And I'm probably not paying attention to see if they're there, to be quite honest with you. So, it's something that even if they are out there, I'm probably not seeing it. So, but yeah, I remember I had an uncle that drank Bud Heavy, and he was a factory worker, worked in a cork factory, and he would come home and he had a little mini, those little Coleman 6-pack coolers, like the little, almost looks like a lunchbox thing. He had a recliner near the TV, and he'd sit in his recliner and he loaded his little cooler up with a sixer in the evenings of Bud Heavies. And he'd sat there and just slowly kind of sip through. I believe they call that functional alcoholism, but I thought he was a really cool uncle. I liked him a lot, and he was always really cool with me. So at the time, that was just kind of part of his Old Spice cologne and Bud Heavies.
Heck yeah.
That's a winning combination.
What was his cigarette brand? That's the thing we're missing
what?
Here.
I don't think he smoked. I don't think he smoked there. So yeah, no tobacco products, but he was a member of the Moose Lodge, a very passionate member of the Moose Lodge.
Yeah, so, I remember those. You know what blows my mind is that people were doing that, drinking a 6-pack of Bud Heavy every night. And yet they weren't nearly as fat as we are today. I'm like, how is that possible? How were they able to do that? I'm like, I want whatever. Maybe we need to switch to Bud Heavy. Maybe that's the secret to youthful.
What is the calories in those?
Like,
those are like 140, 160 calories a can, right? I mean, so you're talking 800 calories if you're going through a 6-pack of those a night. So.
That's like, how do you do that? And like, you see the old timers that are stick thin, and grizzled, and they're drinking a 6-pack a night. I'm like, how are you doing that? I can't do that. I mean, I can, but I look at me. I just, anyway.
Yeah. You're not. I'm not even. Maybe that's because they didn't buffer that with the occasional 900 calorie pastry stout.
That's a good point. And they don't work. They don't work on a computer at home all day. They probably are out in a sawmill or something like that. Yeah.
Bud Heavy is 146 calories per 12.
146. Okay.
Yeah.
Gotcha. All right. So you're looking 850 if you go through a 6-pack there.
Yeah.
Nate, I think you found us some info on the old Beer Dad beer there. So what's he up to these days?
So the latest news article actually came out about 15 months ago, and it's an Anheuser-Busch trademark claim against them, saying that basically, and it's conservative dad, and it's the ultra right beer, and they are saying that his trademark of the ultra right could cause consumer confusion because Michelob Ultra is part of their family of brands, and so they wanted to go against that. I also found an article from 2 years ago where they earned an F rating with the Better Business Bureau because so many people bought in early on a lot of their LTOs, their limited time offers, and didn't get anything from them. And their Shopify store is currently unavailable. So whether he's even doing anything at this point is left to the imagination.
What a ride that was. Dang. I think he had a promo one time he was going, I don't know if he was just showing it off, but I feel like I remember him doing a promo. Nate, a little more Googling for you. See if you find something him with a Trans Am, some kind of promotion he was going to do with a Trans Am, because I seem to remember he was either he just used it in his marketing or was going to give one away. I thought he said maybe like a Smokey and the Bandit style one or something like that. So, but maybe that was just something he did in in one of his ad campaigns.
Did you enter to win it, Tim? Is that what's happening? You want to find out if you?
But shout out to our buddy Troy in Houston. He is a massive Smokey and the Bandit fan, and boy, he would have loved to have won if it was a Bandit style Trans Am.
You are remembering correctly. Okay, he had a promo on his Facebook from July 2024. All orders automatically entered to win. One entry for every $1 you spend.
There you go. Yeah. So I wonder if he did that. I wonder if he gave that away, because I'm assuming you're not seeing any winner announcement there, huh?
No.
Wow. He did have an F from the Better Business Bureau, so I'm thinking that might tell you
that guy would have been shady. You just never would have expected that.
So unexpected.
Definitely did not seem like a grifter.
No, not at all.
There.
Very surprised by this. Shocked, I tell you. Shocked.
Good stuff. Well, Brian, moving back to, I tell you, everything now is about closing and lawsuits and everything. We've got to find some sunnier news here, but one of the nation's largest distributors has filed for Chapter 11 bankruptcy.
Yeah, it's the country's second largest wine and spirits distributor. And Chapter 11 bankruptcy after a rough year that basically saw the company shrink substantially. And this doesn't appear to be a kind of a save the company kind of bankruptcy. Like we're going to restructure and we're going to get back together and we'll be stronger than ever. So no, Republic National Distributing is basically trying to sell off whatever's left of the company and wind down whatever they can't sell of the company into nothing. So they're just getting out of it completely. The numbers are staggering at the top level. The 30 largest unsecured creditors that they have are RNDC, which is how they're typically referred to. The 30 largest unsecured creditors are owed more than $300 million combined. And the largest single debt is nearly $94 million owed to Jose Cuervo's parent company, Proximo Spirits. Some big money there. The actual total amount of RNDC's debt is unknown. According to the filing, and these filings are crap for this reason, but it's a range. It's between $1 and $10 billion, and that's billion with a B. and their total assets are said to be between 500 million and maybe at the top a single billion. So it's possible that they only have $500 million in assets and owe $10 billion to various creditors. And I think a lot of people speculate it's at the higher end of the 1 to 10 billion range, but we don't know. We don't know that. But prior to this news, our RNDC reportedly spent months quietly selling off pieces of the business, first in an attempt to stay afloat and to save jobs. And before the bankruptcy, one of the biggest pieces of the company already sold back in June to Reyes Beverage Group. And the markets that they sold there will not be affected by this bankruptcy. They'll continue to do everything they were doing before. So that distributor is handling it. Apparently, this all ties back to the pandemic. And when all else fails, you blame the pandemic. When distributors, they stocked up to meet the demand of all the people that were stuck home, they were drinking, they were buying a bunch of stuff. And when that demand vanished in late 2022, apparently kind of abruptly, RNDC couldn't clear out all their stock fast enough. And rising interest rates and costs that rose as well added to that. And they lost over $3 billion in annual revenue between 2022 and 2025. So basically $1 billion a year. There are going to be a lot of people and businesses hurt by this bankruptcy, obviously, but some of the worst of it all will be the small suppliers, the little distillers, the breweries, the wineries, that sort of thing. A lot of them are sitting on unpaid invoices that are over 6 months old. I saw one that was like 7 or 8 months, which I think is wild that you haven't been paid in that period of time. And a lot of them apparently got almost no warning that they were completely losing their distribution. Like they're getting completely cut off from all their markets. So not only are they not getting paid for the product that distributors picked up, they have no way of getting their product to market without like scurrying around to find somebody else to represent them. And that might be tough because there's one less distributor in town now when they're gone. So it's ugly. It's really ugly. I don't know how much this directly affects beer. I think they're more of a wine and spirits, but I imagine they do a fair amount of beer too. I have not looked at their portfolio though.
Bummer news to hear. Anyhow, man, going to impact a lot of folks in the bev business. So thanks to hear it there.
It's going to be really tough.
Well, Brian, let's move on to something a little more fun and lighthearted and interesting and all that. And you have discovered not something that happens often to us, Brian, but you have discovered a forgotten American beer style.
Yeah, and
you didn't discover it, Brian.
I didn't.
So yeah.
I was digging, out behind the barn, and I found some fragments.
What is this?
No, it's not what happened at all. I don't usually talk about like individual, regional, like local beer releases, but there was a write-up in the Breweries in PA website that caught my attention. It hit my feed, and they're talking about a Pennsylvania Swanky. I'm like, what's a Pennsylvania Swanky? Have you guys heard of a Pennsylvania Swanky before?
Sounds dirty. Go on.
I saw it and I'm like, giggity. It wasn't that long ago, that we were talking about another historic beer from George Washington's Notebooks. I'm like, yes, I'm primed and ready for a new, interesting, old school beer that's been forgotten about. But anyway, 2 Pennsylvania breweries, Roscoe's Brewhouse and John Ryan Brewery, have joined forces to resurrect this long-forgotten regional beer style. It's a style that dates back to the 1800s when German immigrant farmers from, in Western Pennsylvania first started brewing it as like an everyday table drinking beer. That means it was low alcohol, that they would just bring directly to the table. It may not have ever seen the inside of a bottle. It was probably never sold commercially, so it never really got around. Traditional swanky recipes relied on local ingredients. They blended barley, local molasses, a light addition of American hops, and interestingly, star anise was one of the main components of it. It's said to produce a pale, highly drinkable ale with subtle spice and refreshing character. So their collaboration beer called a Night at the Roxbury, which is a reference to Roscoe's Brewhouse, Roxbury. Yeah. Anyway, it's a sessionable 4% ABV beer that you would expect. It's got 14 IBU, so it's made using locally grown malt. They say you can expect subtle notes of molasses, star anise with flavors of sweetbread, dough, and pear. So that sounds like they're like hitting the mark on what this is supposed to be, basically. But to find out more about the Pennsylvania Swanky, I also did a little Googling, and one of the first things I saw in my results was a link to the Townsend's video. You know Townsend's, right, Tim?
I do. Yes.
Where he dresses up in period costume and talks about old school American stuff from like 8 years ago, where he made the beer at some like reenactment place where they do this kind of like retro American type of stuff. So in the video, they used 4.5 cups of wheat bran. They used a handful of just American locally grown hops, I believe. They used star anise and aniseed, both, and they ground it up with a mortar and pestle. They made, instead of doing molasses, they did a sugar syrup, which was three-quarter cup of brown sugar and a quarter cup of water. They boiled all this stuff together, the bran, the hops, the spices, for an hour in about 1.5 gallons of pints of water. And then once they mixed in the sugar syrup and some yeast, when it cooled down to a little warmer than body temperature. So they're not really measuring these things out. They're going old school with it. They called it blood temperature, but I don't know what blood temperature is. I think it's like just a little bit warmer than your body feels. So it's ready to drink in 3 to 4 days. And it should be consumed within a few days after that, because if you don't, it's going to go flat and then it's going to start to go bad, basically. So, and when you drink it, it's typically drained through a cheesecloth right before serving. And it sounds interesting. I want to make this thing, but yeah, it's very easy to make. Brew it yourself at your home and just put it on the table. Like probably fill up a jug with beer. Yeah. Basically.
Brian, we need to go back to a very important part of this article, because I need to know a night at the Roxbury, what you said that was a reference to.
So that is the one of the breweries, Roscoe's Brewhouse. So it's a night at the Roxbury. So Roscoe's Brewhouse and John Ryan Brewery are the two people that are brewing it. And for whatever reason, they decided Roxbury was a reference.
Never, ever, ever in my life have I ever been more disappointed than you as a human, Brian.
Oh, you mean, yeah, the name is a reference to that, but yes, I'm aware of the movie. Yes.
You got to say that. That's because you weren't making that clear. Nate, you agree he was not making that clear here at all? Okay.
Brian, I'm not mad. I'm just really disappointed in you.
Should I have been jerking my head the entire time? I mean,
an embarrassment to humanity.
I apologize. Yeah, okay. Yes, of course. That's
He's
what
like,
they
it's
meant.
if a reference to the Roscoe's Brewing. I'm like, dear God, no.
Just double down.
Okay. No way.
I mean, in addition, well, they butchered the name of the original reference, but to make it a reference to the brewery. But yes, ultimately, it is a reference to. That's an SNL skit they made into the movie, right?
Chris Kattan and Will Ferrell. Became a movie. Yeah.
I'm well aware. I apologize for my omission.
Thank you, Brian. Good stuff there. Good stuff. That about wraps it up for our show this week. We do appreciate you hanging out with us. If you enjoy what we do here, we'd love for you to tell a friend to check out the show, maybe share a link on your socials and tell them to give it a listen and subscribe. If you really dig what we're doing, we'd love it if you check out patreon.com/beerguys. $5 a month, as little as $5 a month. That's less than a beer. You can help support us. We'll get you some swag sent out. We'll invite you over to our Patreon-only Discord. You'll get cool invites to stuff like the after party that we have after we tape the show each week. So, well, with all that said, we do hope that you have a great week, and don't forget to drink local. Cheers.